Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today I'm very excited to be joined by Karen Delufeu. Karen Delufeu, founder of Lily Amma Coaching, a confidence and self-worth coach who supports women in breaking free from self-doubt, people-pleasing, and old conditioning so they can show up fully in their lives and work. Karen's work is about helping people reconnect with their value, trust their voice, and lead from a place with inner stability rather than external validation. Karen, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. Nice to see you.
It's nice to see you, and it's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm very much excited to dive in. So, Karen, with all of my guests, I do actually like to start at the beginning of their journey. So if you don't mind briefly taking me back to what it was you were doing before you started up Lily Am Coaching, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
So, gosh, a long time ago, I was a lawyer, believe it or not, and that's where I started, and then went into project management within legal tech and client success, and headed up teams across Europe within the project management space. So very different to what I'm doing now, but that's very much where I started and came into doing what I'm doing now. Very much from my own personal journey was the real driver to change and transition into this.
And how did you find that transition from obviously like quite a corporate job into being entrepreneurship? How did you find that switch? Was it something that came like natural to you?
The elements of it, yes, for sure. The drive, the passion, the determination has always been a part of me in work.
Yeah.
And I think it lends itself more to being an entrepreneur than it does being in a company in a big corporate organization. So that part of it was actually quite exciting to do and has definitely helped in launching my own business. But there's certainly been other elements that are interesting, let's say, wearing all the hats, especially in the early stages, you're not necessarily prepared for, which is different than obviously a corporate role, although being project manager was a nice foundation for being able to quickly move between different things.
Yeah, I can imagine. Obviously, project manager, you do end up kind of wearing a lot of hats and juggling a lot of balls at the same time,
Yeah.
which is very similar to being an entrepreneur. You have to kind of know a lot of roles inside out, just to like, I mean, manage and to keep your head above water sometimes. But let's dive into Lily Amma coaching a little bit more so the listeners can have some context moving forward. So, like, walk me through it. At this point, who would you say is your ideal client? Like, who do you very, very much love to work with? And then from there, how is it help and how do you support them?
So very much, thank you for the introduction. Very much as you spoke, there is what I do, my kind of bread and butter, if you like, but I specifically niche into the fertility pregnancy space.
Amazing.
So many of my clients are going through a difficult fertility journey or had a difficult journey to pregnancy or even postnatally. And it tends to be largely people who are already successful in their career, or they're very driven people, high achievers. And suddenly they find themselves in this space where something that should be quote unquote natural isn't happening as planned. And there's an incredibly huge struggle for them, that it's not the kind of thing that you can just do the things, tick the boxes, and then you get the result, unlike in their professional career largely. So that's really who I work with typically.
Nice. And then, so what is it like to work with you then? Like, what is that like typical issue, I suppose, that people tend to come to you with that they're looking to overcome? Like, what is that first boundary that you help these ladies with?
Typically, they have quite often tried all the things and feel that they're not moving forward, and they're really struggling emotionally,
Yeah.
struggling with the day-to-day that comes with the fertility journey or the pregnancy journey that they're on. So that can be the self-worth piece, that can be work, relationships, all of those big picture things that they're
Yeah.
struggling with. Because quite often in this space, a lot of other people that work in this space, it's very much outcome driven. It's very much about the pregnancy, whereas there's that gap that's really missing, which is what I'm filling, of that big picture,
Yeah.
how this affects life.
life, and yeah, and actually not just the pregnancy, but the person behind that life as well is obviously very key to that and their mindset moving forward.
Exactly.
But no,
Sorry.
continue, sorry. Go
No,
for it.
just for them, helping them to show up at work in the way that they want to, and just showing up in those different aspects of life that used to come so naturally for them, that's suddenly taken a nosedive. The
Yeah.
work together helps them to supports them to get back to that place where they were
Yeah, I love
before,
that.
while
And
still being on this journey.
yeah, I love that. And what is it like to work with it? So is this like, I'm assuming one-to-one with a very like high contact point, having to be obviously a very personal journey as well, having that relationship with you.
Yeah, I do some group work, but it's much more one-to-one work. And
Yeah.
yeah, very high touch. It's very, very proactive,
Amazing.
driven towards them achieving their goals that they want to achieve, whatever that might be for them.
Mm.
They get access to me between sessions so they can reach out at any time because I'm a firm believer that things don't just come up in session, they can come
Hmm.
up the day after. You get curveballs thrown at you, so they're able to access me, reach out at any point between sessions as well. And it's all very, as I say, proactive,
Yeah.
teaching them tools, solutions, ways that they can shift that mindset, to reach those goals that they really want to reach, making those changes at
Yeah.
that subconscious level, but actually also for them to have those tools to be able to make those changes themselves in a way that feels manageable as well. It's not about taking big chunks of time out of your day, it's little things that you can do throughout the day that make those shifts.
I think that's so important as well because like obviously overwhelm is one of those feelings that could come into play a lot of times. So having big shifts in your like daily routine or in your life can really just affect that. So I love that it's a very tailored approach and as you say, life happens, you know. It's not just throughout a session you might be coming up with issues. So it's nice that you have that support there like throughout, no matter what.
Yeah.
And I am curious to find out how you go about acquiring your customers as well. So, like in terms of marketing, obviously this being a very sensitive and very personal journey for some people, like how do you go about marketing yourself? Like what channels and methods are you really finding most effective in acquiring customers?
So in my space, it's much more driven by people feeling that they have the need and then going and searching for it. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily the thing that somebody would just come across and think it's nice and interesting and do it that way. So largely through my website, searches, referrals, collaborations that I have with people, and I do have social media presence, although that's largely, I think, kind of shop window, for people to check me out, understand me more once they've reached that point of them looking for that help.
Yeah, so using that as more of a like no like trust factor, as you say, like building rapport, making sure they know you and understand the way you work is a form of
Yeah,
I like that a lot. And do you run like ad campaigns and stuff to like boost social media anyway, or is it just organic outreach from yourself?
it's organic. Yeah.
And how are
Yeah.
you and do you have a team that maybe help you out on the back end with some of this stuff? Because it can be a lot of time consuming social media, right? Like it's become like a full-time job for entrepreneurs sometimes.
Currently, no, but that's largely because it is such a niche field,
Yeah.
and it's so important that it's my, kind of my voice, my message, my understanding, because a lot of the feedback I get is that people just feel heard and they feel understood, and
Mm,
it's the kind of space that it's really difficult to
yeah.
be able to show that unless you've been through the journey yourself, because there's
Yeah.
such nuances with it. Um, so because that's often the feedback that I get, it comes quite, it feels like the right decision
Yeah.
probably for me to largely do a lot of that marketing myself for now. But there's definitely a growth aspect where there may be more people coming in.
Awesome. No, but I appreciate you want to keep that, as you say, that safe environment for people to open up and just trust you. As you say, it's a lot of like just being heard and understood is half of the part and parcel sometimes. But do you have a team that help you out with any other things, or are you pretty much a solopreneur at the moment?
Currently, I'm largely a solopreneur for now. Obviously, the financial side, I do have support. I'm not doing that
Good at numbers.
myself. So, accountant was the first person I hired. But the other elements is largely myself doing the work. Yeah.
Awesome. And then, so what are your plans for the future? Like when you think of scaling the business, like what does that look like to you? Obviously, we're at the start of 2026. So have you got plans to take another step?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, it's and my business, it's largely about the message that's there. That message around it's not just about the outcome in terms of pregnancy, it's about shifting that whole narrative in this space about looking after your own mental health whilst going through the process. So
Okay.
getting that message out there wider in more places. Speaking, a book is on the cards as well about my own journey and the work itself. Um, so yeah, certainly more growth and potentially more growth into the pregnancy after infertility space as
Yeah.
well, which would
Yeah.
be interesting.
I was going to mention that because obviously yeah, that's the second step to it, I guess, or like the aftercare process or what happens afterwards. Do you feel like that was also another massive benefit to women having that mindset after pregnancy too?
Oh, 100%. And the
Yeah.
reason that I
The support that
span
comes from that.
Yeah, the reason that I span all of the stages is because a person's fertility journey can very much affect them further
Yeah.
down the line as well. So, yeah, it's really important to me to keep those. It makes it a little bit challenging from the business perspective because they are very different markets and
Yeah.
spaces. Um, but I think that goes back to what your own passion is and your own drive is. And for me, that was really important that there was that continuity of support available. And also for people to come in at those different points to
Yeah.
somebody who does understand from lived experience how it is. Um, so yeah, potentially more work in that space coming.
Awesome. So there's a lot on the cards. So we've got books, speaking, and then obviously expanding the offers as well. So like where are you finding the biggest challenge for yourself, Karen, in taking that next step in the business?
Um, a part of it is reaching people at the time that's right,
Okay.
and changing that narrative about the importance of the mental health aspect of going through this stage in your life
Yeah.
and from that kind of client perspective. Obviously, with growth, it is bringing more people in, but finding the right people to bring in to the business who have the right kind of understanding as well as expertise. It's a
Yeah.
balance, right, between all of that. Um, and yeah, the sort of the uh, yeah, the space, I guess, of where to go next and the how and connecting the big vision with the steps to
Yeah,
get
I
to
get
the
you.
big vision, I guess.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like you're staring up at Everest, like what path do I take to get to that goal? But it is, and half of your trouble as well, it is, as you say, the knowledge. It's getting it out there that this work is so important and so much needed, throughout the journey of that stage of life because it can be so challenging and feel like such a lonely place sometimes, but it is such a new area of coaching that not a lot of people are
Yeah,
aware of either.
no.
And how important it can be to them and how useful it is too.
And I think that is changing for
Yeah.
sure. And seeing the results from my clients is just incredible in so many different ways. So the landscape is definitely changing.
Mm.
And it's holding tight for it really to shift in that direction, which it is, and it's really busy. It's one of those weird spaces where you kind of don't want it to be so busy, but it is really busy, there's
Yeah.
a lot of people going through this, and a lot of people need that support.
And that's so true. And it's so good that you're there to do that. And as you've mentioned throughout, having that lived experience, you can really relate to these people and you can really understand the importance of that journey and having that support throughout. And Karen, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out best to work with you or connect with you if they would like to do so?
So my website is liliamacoaching.co.uk, or I'm on Instagram, fertilitycoach.liliama, or on LinkedIn as well. My name, Karen Delafeo.
Love it. Thank you so much. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to go and check out Liliana Coaching and drop Karen a message. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from zero to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing and we will see you on the next one.